Sindri!
Hello. I'd return your surprise, but I did know you'd be here. I've got something for you.
What is it, dwarf?
You know, I'm glad I came back here at least once before Ragnarok. Oh, if these cobblestones could talk. Then they'd have mouths. Filthy, disgusting mouths.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 24 of the video game podcast PlayStation Pals. I'm your host Nick, and I'm joined by the Usami to my Monokuma, John. I know, John, you're not familiar with that character now that I just thought about that.
It's like, who the Usami? Is it like umami? Like, I thought we were doing food references for a second.
It's the female Monokuma from Danganronpa 2.
Okay, is she as good of a character, or is she annoying?
She's very annoying.
Okay, that's fair. I feel like Monokuma's great. Obviously, I mentioned that last week, but also I could see a situation where it's like a little bit goes a long way. And I have heard that I think even in Danganronpa 3, there's Monokuma babies. So
yeah,
like,
there's multiple
they
ones,
take it even further.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, you know, I'm sure I'll be acquainted one day. I hope I play that game at some point. But
yeah, you definitely should. All right, well, here we are. It's Thanksgiving week here in the States.
Gobble, gobble.
It is a short week for us. We've been recording on a weekly basis, but because of the holiday, we're recording early. It doesn't feel like it's early because I'm exhausted. I'm very tired.
Yeah, we gorged ourselves. You know, we're trying to stretch out our stomachs for tomorrow for all that delicious American, ridiculous amount of foods that we'll eat. So, what did we decide to do? Well, we had a Chinese buffet for lunch today, and yeah, we might sound a little tired, guys. So, apologize in advance.
So yeah, on top of the Chinese food, it's also a short week, so we didn't get to prepare as much.
Yep.
So it's still going to be a good podcast. I'm going to post this early on top of that, so it'll be a Thursday. You can listen on Thanksgiving. Hopefully your family isn't driving you too crazy if you have to spend time with them. But
I like the idea of somebody listening to us with their family around. I don't know why.
Guys, listen to this podcast.
What amateur shit is this?
Yeah. All right, so let's get going. If you're new to the show, this is how it works. We each bring 3 things to talk about. It can be a game we're playing, a news item, an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, or a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod. Any of those things, we can bring it and talk about it. And given that it's Thanksgiving, the first thing I wanted to talk about is giving thanks. Kind of a weird topic, but in Thanksgiving a lot of people give thanks to their health and all kinds of things. So we're gonna do the gaming version of that.
This is better than the bullshit answers you get around the family table, though. I'm thankful for my family and my dog who's made it another year. That's stupid.
Yeah, so this will be gaming related. Sorry, all of our loved ones who just heard that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so John, I guess we'll just go one by one here.
Yeah, how many do you have? Just curious.
I have 4. There may be some overlap with yours.
I have 5, so I'll go first.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
So what's your first one?
My first one is I am thankful. Very topical. I'm thankful that Ragnarok not only met expectations, but it did exceed them. As you've kind of probably learned, Nick and I hold that 2018 game in just very high regard, and similar to Naughty Dog making a sequel to The Last of Us, it's just such a high bar that they had to meet and exceed. And probably in retrospect, I shouldn't have been nervous about it because it's the same team, the same talented individuals making it, but it's easy to get a little nervous when you care about something so much. So I'm really happy that it came out. It's getting, it's gotten the reviews it has. We just found out today it's actually the fastest selling Sony first party game ever. Yep. With 5.1 million copies sold in the first week, which is fantastic. So
wow.
Thankful that Kratos is still around, still kicking it with us.
Yeah, and I mean that game was developed during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. New game director. I mean. And as we kind of mentioned before, I had to live up to the expectations of the first one. Right. So there was a lot that could have made it a bad game, but it came out and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something to give thanks to, that, you know, your expectations are met, and even more than just your expectations. So,
what's the most you've ever been let down by, like, something? Actually, I probably know is it Andromeda? Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Okay.
That was really bad. I didn't even finish it.
Yeah. Can't really think of it. I don't know. I just play I know exactly my tastes, I guess.
Yeah, you only get kind of, like, again, it's all about expectations. If you're just always waiting for reviews, then I mean, you're never gonna be disappointed. But, you know, if you're like me and just get hyped about everything, you know, like the Wolverine game, like, I just can't contain myself, the expectations I have from an Insomniac Wolverine game. Sure. But, you know, but yeah, I've been disappointed. I mean, Cyberpunk was definitely disappointing when it came out, and I wasn't able to play it. Yeah. And I had to wait even longer, but
it all worked out in the end, though, buddy.
it did, and that might just come up in a minute here.
Hey!
Because speaking of which, I just might as well bring it up now.
Sure.
I'll just give thanks that CD Projekt Red is steadying the course. You know, 2 years ago, they fucked up big time. They misled everyone. They released a gamey, buggy mess that was unplayable on older gen consoles. And kind of they turn it around this year with the release of 1.5 in February, and then releasing the Witcher 3 next gen update, something they didn't have to do for a 7-year-old game, but they're doing it. And they're kind of steadying the course and being that developer that we all raised up after Witcher 3 came out, to one of the top tier developers. So.
I think it is a good redemption story. I mean, they are obviously incredibly talented over there, so for them to rebound is great for the industry, because, if CG Projekt Red, never did bounce back, that's a lot of wasted talent. And I'm sure those people would have found, some homes elsewhere. But I think the worst thing about that whole ordeal was basically being selective about the review codes that they gave out, only giving the PC review codes, and really knowing that they had a product that was going to let people down and just hiding it. But it seems good from here on out. Obviously, I think they'll have a lot of eyes on The Witcher on release date for the next gen thing, just to make sure everything works. But again, it's a free update; nobody's paying for it. So even if it does come out and be buggy, not that big of a deal. I'm just I'm curious to see how these 7 games they have in development, what is the pacing and scope of all those games. But
that's not even getting on top of the announcement of the Witcher 1 remake, even though it's not necessarily them, and then the big Cyberpunk expansion, Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
So they got, I think they're in a really good place, and again, as long as these releases come out and live up to the standard that we hold them to, I think they're kind of back. I think we can forgive them again. just will be a little questionable on their next releases.
Right. I'm thankful, Nick, that Sony has seemingly removed shovelware from the PlayStation Store.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't seen, this is actually kind of also news of this week, so it's kind of a little double dipping. But if you've paid attention to the store at all, and I don't know, the last 6 months to a year maybe, you've just seen this massive rise of these $1.50 games that are literally hold X to get a platinum.
Well, you talked about it on this show. I don't remember what episode it was, but you went deep into the jumping tacos and
Zump jump and gump jump and bump jump and fump jump and mump jump. And so Sony actually is shadow banning, or some cases delisting these games entirely, and
they're going to ban publishers.
Yeah. I mean, and it's probably, at the end of the day, it's probably because they've decided that, hey, people can't find what they're looking for, and they're not spending as much money as they normally would, and as opposed to just trying to do a solid for us all. But
they're probably not selling very well either. These these are making them a ton of money. They'd probably be okay, but how much are they getting off $2 games?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, even if they get their 30% rip off of $1.50, that's exactly. 45 cents. Yeah. So it's not worth the reputational hit. And I am thankful that they decided to actually do something about it. It's rare you see companies, companies will come back and they'll do large things, obviously fix games, whatever the case, if there's a large enough scandal. But something that they didn't have to do, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's nice to see them listening and know that they have a pulse on what their fans want. So
yeah, it's something Steam and Nintendo need to do too.
Yeah, Nintendo is bad.
So yeah, it's nice to see Sony get ahead of it. Though they didn't officially announce it. It's just, I think that site obtained a letter that was sent to one of these publishers.
All right.
So.
All right. I'm not thankful anymore.
I'm sure it's true.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But Yeah. All right, and then moving on, I wanted to thank this podcast.
Aww.
Give thanks to this, because I know John and I had talked about doing it for a long time, and we didn't know what it was going to be, if it was going to be good, if it was even going to sound even remotely listenable, and that not only has it, but hey, here we are, 24 episodes in.
Yeah.
You know,
We're almost at half a year, man.
yeah.
We're almost at half a year doing this.
And a decent amount of listens, nothing crazy, but, you know, we're just getting warmed up, so. And
Yeah, that's a good one, Nick. And you know, Nick was nice in that description, guys. Nick has been wanting to do a podcast, and I was digging my heels in saying, I don't want to listen to myself. And, you know, I don't remember what the final thing was. I think you just basically said, fuck you, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Come next Tuesday and we're recording or something. And,
Yeah.
and it's been a ton of fun, and it feels good to actually do something outside of my standard get up, take care of my kids, go to work, come home thing. So,
yeah.
good one.
Okay.
I am thankful for my Cuphead Platinum and and Delicious Last Course DLC. You know, this is one of those trophies that like I think I said, it's my favorite trophy I've ever gotten. I worked for it, and it was something that I once thought unobtainable. So a really quick one. I'm thankful that I got that one because, you know, I was getting some shit from the guys about having a My Name Is Mayo Platinum, you know, kind of taking my credibility as a gamer into question. So I'm thankful that I was able to shove that down their throats.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck you, Nick.
Okay. seems a little bit of ego stroking in that one, but
Yep.
but I'll allow it. And this is just kind of piggybacking off of what you said about God of War, is just Sony's first party output again.
Yeah.
You know, year after year after year of just killing it as far as, you know, games. You know, last year we got Returnal and Ratchet and Clank and Deathloop, and the year before that, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Astrobot's Playroom, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then including this year again with Gran Turismo 7, Horizon, Forbidden West, and then now as we play God of War, just continuing to improve upon that catalog of games, improving on just why you should be playing on Sony, why this podcast is about Sony. You know, we thought about doing just a gaming podcast, but that would be a big lie because we're always playing on our PlayStations.
Right.
So, you know, and just even looking forward to next year too, you know, Sony's just going to bring it again. They're going to bring a whole new platform to play games on, and I'm sure we're just at the tip of the iceberg of their first party support for that. And then just we don't know what's coming out next year, but I mean, we're looking at a year that already has Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, and Spider-Man 2, and we haven't seen jack about those games really.
No.
So, you know, good job, Sony.
I don't think they've missed. Have they besides Days Gone, which I would imagine you'd get some people to even contend that, because if people remember, that got panned a lot because of the state it was in before it got its first patch. It was kind of buggy, and a lot of reviewers had problems with it. Have they missed since the PS4 generation? I mean, you know, and there's games like
The Order,
Concrete. Well, that wasn't even first party. That was second party. You know, that was ready at dawn, and they published it. So yeah, you could say that. But I mean, there's games like Concrete Genie, you know, from Pixel Opus. But I don't think anybody
I enjoyed that game though.
It was and it was good, but like, you know, it wasn't tippy top.
Right.
It's absurd at this point, man.
Yeah, the fact that, you know, I think that game reviewed it like an 80 or 78 or something, and it's like, that's not good enough because Sony's at an 88 and above,
right?
You know, for most of their average here. So yeah, they just keep killing it. So it's good to know like my money was well spent.
Yeah, Nick has always chose the wrong console, I guess.
Yes,
at the start of every generation, he got the PS3 at launch. He got the Xbox One at launch.
Yep.
And so he's very nervous when we got the PS5. And I tried to assure him that, like, don't worry, man, this is the one. And so far, so good. So far, so good. But my last one, Nick, is I'm actually going to cut one out. So I'm only thankful for 4 things.
Okay.
Elden Ring. I have yet to beat this game, so I want to get that out in the front. But you know, Dark Souls is, if you were to probably tell me I have to take one game series with me forever, that's the only game series I can play, it's probably going to be the Souls series. And, you know, as long as you can include Bloodborne and Elden Ring into that, I think most people would. But the idea of an open world Souls game that that blew everybody's mind and exceeded expectations and really did what Breath of the Wild did. I could never have imagined that game was going to be as good as it's been received. I kind of thought it would just be, another Souls game, another game that I'm going to have fun with, some cool boss fights and whatnot. But to turn the industry on its head, to, I don't know if it's going to beat Modern Warfare 2 in sales, but for a long, because Modern Warfare 2 has been selling so strongly. But there was a time where, this year that people were like, Elden Ring might outsell Call of Duty, which is bananas for a game as hard as those are, but it just goes to show just how captivating they can be. And I'm just thankful that that some of my favorite series in the world are just moving forward stronger than ever. And this year specifically, God of War and my Soul series, man, like I can't ask for more than that in the game sphere, except for Bloodborne 2 and Nier Automata 2. Make it happen.
Yeah. And we'll get into Elden Ring in just a second here.
Yep.
And then wrapping things up, I did want to give thanks to PlayStation Plus Extra, this new Game Pass equivalent that Sony rolled out this year. I know John and I haven't really taken advantage of it. I'm sure I've only played maybe like 3% of the games that they have on there. But going into December, I definitely plan on taking advantage of it more as more of the new releases aren't coming out anymore. We did have Stray, Game of the Year candidate Stray when it launched. John's favorite game of all time. And every month after month it has been just really, really solid. You can't really complain that there's not something there for you, and just something that we get to continue to look forward to, for a very long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've killed it, and at least on the extra tier. Premium tier is a different conversation, but I'm tired of people saying that this is not a Game Pass competitor. I think it entirely is, but that's a conversation for another day. I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna make me want to talk about it too. It's like, well, Microsoft has no first-party games, so when they pay
so what the fuck does it matter?
Yeah, they pay for all these. They got Pentiment and what was it, Somerville, and I forget what last month they got. Oh, the Plague Tale. Yeah. It's like hard to compare. Like they have nothing else. So, right. So, and I still think, if it's not 1-1, I think Sony's edging them out. But that might be we might be a little biased.
Yeah, there's some bias there, but that's okay.
All right. So that's it for gaming, giving thanks. John, what's the next topic?
Nick, what's your affinity for strategy guides? Have you ever been a big strategy guide guy?
No, not as far as like physical copies.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I have recently got the strategy guide, hardcover Future Press strategy guide, at least part 1 for Elden Ring, and I brought it to work the other day, and this thing is fucking awesome, man. And so to give a little bit of background, I have never really been into strategy guides, with very rare exception. As I was just kind of mentioning, the Soul series, one of my favorite series of all time, but one of the reasons I got into it in the first place is when I got Dark Souls, when it came out in 2011, I also, alongside of it, bought the Future Press copy of the guide for it. And I played through that game, following it page by page, just to make sure that I was getting what I needed to, getting the hints I needed with the bosses, and just, strategies that I needed to be successful at the game. And it was one of my favorite gaming experiences I've ever had. And I really haven't done it since. Even with something, I did a little bit with Bloodborne. I got the hardcover for that as well. But I really just didn't follow it in the same way. And I don't know if part of that was because I lived alone at the time with Dark Souls, and so I was, so bachelor guy that could do my thing every single night. But these guides, man, they do such a high quality job with them that I encourage anybody who's a fan of any game that Future Press does. And there's other publishers out there, but Future Press is the one that I typically look at. Highly encourage you guys to get those. Not only because it's a great coffee table book, it looks beautiful on a shelf. The map that it comes with is, highly detailed, something you can hang on the wall. They have these very intricate maps of the levels where it kind of shows you what the path is, and like little markers on there so you know where the items are. And it's just a great way to experience a game that you want to make sure you don't miss anything from. Like a game like Elden Ring, it's intimidating, right? Because you get into this world, it's so dense, there's so much to go. So if you're somebody who has like a little bit of FOMO or whatever you want to call it, it lets you ease into the experience a little bit better. And this is only part 1 of that copy or of that strategy guide. I'm still waiting on part 2, which should be next year. But I really, really just wanted to shout these things out, man. They're gorgeous. And another thing is, I only paid $30 for it. The Bloodborne one I bought for $30 is now worth $250. These things are also just kind of like, I'm not saying go buy 17 of these copies and go sell them on eBay in 10 years, but like it's a good use of your money if you care about the hobby. And I wish there was more of them out there.
Yeah.
I know you have gotten a couple in the past though, right, Nick? Like what game specifically have you gotten the strategy guide for?
I got The Witcher 3
for
the very same reasons. I don't think I used it while playing the game, but it was just like such a beautiful compendium of the whole game and all of the characters and the art and the weapons and just like one thing I noticed when I was looking at the guide for Elden Ring, the first thing that popped in my head is just like how this breaks down like game design and just how incredible of a project Elden Ring is.
Yeah.
To be this amount of detail. Like this book that John handed me was part 1. And it is a thick ass book, and it's not like there's space in any of these pages. It's full of art and map designs, and it's just incredible that From Software is just able to make a game this intricate and detailed.
It's like a team of 300 guys. Too.
Yeah,
it's
it's just insane. It's like just a master class in game design and character design. And I don't have to praise Elden Ring. I mean, the praise is all there, but and I wish these guides were more like when they announce collector's editions. This should be the number 1 thing with them. I think everyone would be happy to have that, and I know that's kind of hard because printing these books I'm sure is not easy. I think you pre-ordered this back in June.
Yeah, I ordered this in June, and they said it was releasing June 30th. That came and went. It was like, no, we're releasing October 31st. That came and went. And then I finally just got a random email that's like, hey, it's on its way. And so I don't know if that was because Elden Ring was so popular and they just couldn't keep up with the amount of demand, or if it was, that the Future Press team just wasn't meeting the deadlines that they needed to. I don't know, but
yeah.
You know what kind of reminds me of, Nick? Were you a fan of like back in the day of like game guides when you would get a game and like looking like at the opening the case?
Of course, as a kid, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, where you can see these are all the weapons, and it breaks down the stats and it breaks down the HP for all the enemies, and they're weak to this and they do this, and it's just. I don't know. It just taps into something.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned Twisted Metal. Like that is my memory of like Twisted Metal 2 was the booklet in it, and it would cover all the characters. That's why I know their names so well.
Yeah.
Grasshopper, Inspector, and Axel. Is like because I went through that book and I would look through it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't as an adult. It's not as interesting now, but as a kid, I loved it. But as an adult, these giant compendium books are just great.
It is kind of it's like the adult game book thing. It's not like it's not very surface level. Like Nick was saying, man, there's like pages of just flow charts of like this is how you have every single ending you could possibly want, and like have each NPC do this crazy thing, and it's a lot. But if you care about the subject matter, it's fantastic. So Future Press is the publisher.
I did want to touch on one thing.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, biggest release of the year, one of the biggest releases. Probably one of your dream projects.
Yeah.
Now, John, as of this podcast, this game has been out since February.
Mm-hmm.
John has not beaten it. And how many hours would you say you're into it? Because you didn't really get into why you're not playing it and why you've been waiting on this guide.
I'm probably 10 to 15 hours in, and I haven't touched it since I would wager March or April, maybe. I don't know if you're looking for a specific answer.
No. I think the listeners need to know like why you're not playing it, and I think it's a valid reason.
That I have children?
Well, yeah. That you can't that.
Yeah.
That John can't devote. And you cannot devote time. He can't butt his head against the wall of a boss.
Yep.
Waste 3 hours of the precious time he gets facing I don't know name of a boss from Elden Ring. I don't know their names, but
German Narman.
yeah. And then not beat the boss and then have all that time lost.
Yeah.
Like that's just a bad feeling that he gets.
Yeah, yeah, it's as Nick said. I get what you're picking up now. As Nick said, I maybe get 1.5 hours a night, which to some that's a lot. To me, it's not quite what I would want, and I would love like 3 or 4, whatever the case. I know that's not reasonable, but that's what I want. And if you're familiar with these kind of games, man, you can spend a lot of time in the same area. Yeah, going up to the boss, not knowing what the strategy really is, not seeing the specific item that you want to pick up or leveling up in the right way. Or even in the case of Elden Ring, it's so open you don't know where the next really spot you should be going is. So I decided that when I go through this game, I do not want to have the experience with it where I'm going in for a half an hour, not getting anywhere, getting frustrated at the game, getting mad at the game. It's not the game's fault. So I think this will be a better way to kind of keep me on track, keep me moving forward, and and allow me to just, I think, digest the game a little bit more. And my kids are getting a little bit older. They're still under a year, and I have a 5-year-old, so it's not like I'm out of the clear next year. But at least maybe just in terms of schedule or like a structure and schedule, they'll be a little bit better. But I'm hoping the guides really help me with it and just let me get through it, because that is game number 1 that I just need to get to, I'm sure, after God of War. Even though I still gotta get to The Last of Us and Plague Tale and other stuff. But
yeah, I don't mean to call you out.
No.
I just like when I had to make that choice about Cyberpunk when it had come out, it was like a game, like when you were hyped for these games leading up, and then they come out, and it's like I have to make this choice to wait, like you had to make. Like I want to wait for like the right at the time. You wanted to wait for the right time, and then I know these guides came available, and you're like, well, I'll wait for these guides, and then when I have this blueprint in front of me of how to tackle the game. Then my time won't be as wasted. So, I know that was a tough decision for you.
It was, but I think it was the right one. As lame as it may sound, like I respect this medium a lot, and it's one of my main sources of happiness in life. So I don't want to do anything where, that sounds too depressing, but, I want to make sure that as I'm playing it, I'm getting, the most amount of enjoyment as I can. I'm sorry if there's anybody out there who thinks that, it's not a purist way to play that game, but
no, there's no, whatever makes you happy is the purest way to play any game.
And I do intend on getting the platinum for it, whenever I can tackle it, because it actually does have a pretty high percentage as well. I think it's one of the easier FromSoft games to platinum, so that would be
I hear you have to cheese your cloud saves.
Okay, well,
yeah.
A game I respect. I don't have a single FromSoft Platinum, so I feel like I need to get at least one. It'd either probably be this one or Bloodborne, but
goals for next year.
Yeah, my New Year's resolution. Platinum Elden.
Well, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do some gaming New Year's resolutions.
That's a good call.
All right, so let's move on. As we talked about last week, the Game Awards are coming. We talked about the nominees. But before we get to the hype cycle, when Jeff Keighley starts talking about what's going to be there, he's going to start teasing it because it is coming December 8th. I wanted to get our predictions on what we expect to be at the show as far as announcements. Not as far as like winners or anything like that. Just kind of like what games will Jeff Keighley bring to the show that will really get us talking, that week after. So I don't know if you wanted to start things off or.
Sure. So first and foremost, I think most of the Game Awards is going to be dominated by Xbox. That's kind of what my gut is telling me. I think just historically, Sony enjoys a little bit more of a spotlight. They like to host their own things. So I think you might see a couple things from Sony, but not a ton. That being said, I think from Xbox, I think we're going to finally get an Avowed trailer. I think we'll finally get some gameplay from that.
Avowed before Outer Wilds 2? You think that's the trajectory?
I think Avowed was announced 3 years ago at this point?
Yeah, it was announced before.
Outer Wilds 2 is a much smaller game, and we've seen from Obsidian that they have the ability to balance multiple projects at the same time. And Outer Wilds, as kind of big as it seems, is really not that large of a game. It's these contained spaces. You know, if they use a lot of the same framework that they have from the first game, I could see that being a pretty not easy development cycle, but something that they're able to churn through a little bit more while still working with their core team or maybe like a side team on Avowed. And I just think Xbox, they have to. You know, after coming off a year where they have absolutely zero first-party releases, not having a single Game of the Year nominee in over 10 years, like they need big projects that get people excited. And sure, they have Starfield, but even a project like Starfield, there's a lot of skepticism behind it. You know, I lurk on these Xbox forums and things. You know, I have a Series X, so as much as I love PlayStation, I still want to know what's going on in that space. Yeah. And like even their fans, man, they're like, well, we'll see when we play it. You know, we'll see how it goes. I hope it's good. I'm not sure. Well, and I think Obsidian has a lot of confidence. So
it is funny. I do have Redfield and Starfield release dates and trailers in my predictions too.
Redfall and Starfield.
Yeah. So I think you're right. Like Xbox really needs to bring it next year. I mean, and they're primed.
Yeah, I just think they're going to start getting this next wave of games going probably now. You know, they have Redfall coming in the summer. Starfield will launch next year. They want to start getting Xbox likes to have, I think, their trailer announcement hype cycles be a little bit longer than most.
Yeah, they have a lot of games that we could talk about.
They have a lot of,
Indiana Jones.
Everwild, Indiana Jones. We might see a Fable. Contraband, Perfect Dark. Like, they have all these games. So I feel like we're on. You know, it's kind of interesting, too, compared to Sony's approach where we don't know anything. It's like Xbox, like, I feel like we have their roadmap. It's just where do they all fit in? So I could see them coming out with an Avowed, like, showing their first initial little bit to get people hyped for it with, like, I don't know if they would go as stupid as being like, hey, 2024, like having just a year on it. I don't think so. But
well, I do have in like my notes here is like I think a lot of games that are coming out in the first half of next year will be there.
Yeah.
And a lot of my predictions are going to be about that because I think there's a lot of games coming out in the first half of next year, which are including if not both Redfall and Starfield, but one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think haven't they already said Starfield's later in the year? Or have they not said that?
I don't think so.
No, okay. I'm pretty sure Redfall they've said is like, because that was slated for this year, so I'm pretty sure they said that is summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I think I think Xbox is ready to again show what's coming, because if they come out and they show a Redfall trailer, cool. But, like, that's not going to get really anybody excited. The Starfield date would, and I think they're going to have to show something of that next cycle of those big games. Avowed seems like a decent one to get people excited because, you know, we know Elder Scrolls is so far away. You know, show this Western RPG that people seem to be really wanting to see. And, yeah, I think that would make a big splash.
John, This is a PlayStation podcast.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we said predictions. I started this off with Xbox domination, all right?
Yeah, and then I was going to also move to another publisher, which is Warner Brothers, because they also have a lot of games. Wonder Woman was at the show last year, and they didn't show a single ounce of footage. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is still sitting out there. That got delayed out of this year into next. And then NetherRealm and Injustice 3, like I think that was part of the NVIDIA leak.
Yeah. Well, did you see Ed Boon's tweet the other day?
Yeah, where he said their next game is either
right.
Mortal Kombat. Duh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, duh. But usually these leads don't comment on things unless if there's an announcement imminent, whether they're going to say it or not. Like he probably would have just been quiet if it's not within the next couple months that we're going to see something about it.
Yeah.
So
no, it's time.
Yeah, I think it's going. All right, I think we're going to see a trailer and a release date for Horizon Forbidden West DLC. I think that's kind of, ready to go. We might even see like a big Horizon thing. I don't know, because they still got the VR game to talk about. But it'll be a year since Horizon Forbidden West has been out on February. Yeah. And we need, if there is DLC, which we've already kind of gotten confirmed from Lance Reddick that he's back in, he was back in doing mocap and stuff a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. they got to be ready to have that released no later than the summer, I would think. Otherwise, that's almost too much time that's gone from the initial launch to DLC release. And I think Frozen Wilds was about a year. Maybe, you know, it was somewhere in the same realm. So, yeah, I think we're going to get, you know, and I think, and this could just be completely me just being, you know, spitballing or whatever right now, but I feel like they like to also try and pair up announcements with games that have kind of gotten nominated as well. Like, so Horizon's been nominated, so like, hey, this nomination, right? Like, oh, look at all these awards it's getting, and like, oh, and there's also DLC coming. You know, might be a good place to put that. So
yeah. And in that same vein, I also have Elden Ring DLC
as
well, because it'll also be a year since Elden Ring. We know that, you know, From Software games have also always gotten DLC. I think that is the expectation in this one as well. So I think, you know, Jeff Keighley, you know, showed the first footage of Elden Ring. He's been all over that relationship with From Software, so I also think that will be there as well.
Okay. How many more predictions you got?
Well, do you have any outside of the DLC? Do you have any more Sony ones? Yeah. So, in the ever-going push in the multimedia space, right, to have this like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Transformative media, or like, you know, transmedia, whatever the case, you know, of these companies wanting to put their properties into movies, TVs, or whatever. I think we might get some Sony stuff, and I don't know specifically. I'm gonna guess we're gonna get a Ghost of Tsushima movie trailer, and possibly a Twisted Metal show trailer. I think the Twisted Metal show. It would be wild. And, you know, I'm probably not both, but one of them. I think the Twisted Metal show seems to be the one that's been like rumored the most and been around the longest in talks. I think Anthony Mackie, I think they may have even said they've wrapped filming on it or something crazy like that. So I think we'll get you know, kind of Sony's next project after The Last of Us on what their like movie / show thing is going to be. I'm going to go with Ghost of Tsushima is my well, as we talked about last week, that is a new category, the best adaptation. So it would fit to have, you know, teases for what all the other gaming shows are on the table too. So yeah, that's a pretty good one. That one's out there.
Yeah. I'm not doing safe picks, Nick. Safe picks are boring. Nobody wants safe picks.
All right. And then the only one else I got is because, again, VR, it was imminent. It's time for Astrobot.
Ooh.
Astrobot to come back, show, you know, be that. I don't know if it'll be a launch game or not. I'm not going to put that here. Maybe it won't be. But I think it's time that, you know, Sony's new mascot, the sequel, well, not the direct sequel, but, you know, since Astro's Playroom, we've been chopping at the bit for more Astro, so...
I would love, Nick, for you to play the first Astrobot Rescue Mission. It's so good. As good as Astro's Playroom is, the VR one's even better. Like, it's so much fun. That would be awesome. I think most of the internet... I like how we say the internet is like the way that you qualify like how like an announcement is. I think the internet was pretty lukewarm on Sony's launch lineup, or is pretty... Lukewarm might even be pushing it. I don't think anybody really likes it at all, what the launch lineup looks like right now. You know, we're kind of expecting that other big push for Sony to really show that they're invested in this piece of tech. And Astrobot is tried and true. It's proven as being fantastic. You know, Asobi is about ready to go. It's been long enough since the first one, so... And
that's my pie in the sky. Like, that's what I want them to do. But there'll be 100% a Sony VR announcement. I don't know what.
I mean...
It could be, but I there's no way with it coming out, you know, 2 months later that we're not going to get at least one Sony VR related announcement.
Could be Gran Turismo 7 integration. I mean, that could be a thing.
That would be, like I said, there's at least one.
Yeah.
But that would be the one that I want.
I wonder if Alex would be there. I know there's never been any confirmation, but you know, all us PlayStation fans are just convinced Alex is going to be on the PSVR 2, but you know, might not. And then I got one other one, and you kind of gave me the idea for this earlier. But big celebrity guest. Okay. I think Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey will come on stage at some point and just promote the new show.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll have do you think they'll have a trailer or like maybe a piece
clip.
of a clip of the show?
A clip.
Yeah, a clip of the show. Maybe like, you know, the first time Joel and Ellie meet or something like that. But
I want some Bill.
Yeah, Nick Offerman would be cool, and
seeing them three
hanging out with Bill. But I think you'll see a little bit of that because, as we know, that's early January, so imminent.
Yep. Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, yeah, it's coming December 8th. And like I said, Jeff Keighley, I guarantee next week is going to just start laying down all the what games are going to be there. So we're going to get... Oh, I didn't mention Jedi Survivor. That was the last one.
No, too late.
That was rumored.
No.
That is early next year. Jedi Survivor is
that'll
probably going to be there. So.
I just have a pie in the sky one I just thought of. Do you think there'll be any shadow drops of anything?
Oh, I had a prediction.
Did you?
You just reminded me of a prediction, but that I wanted to throw your way.
See, you can tell, folks, we're a little foggy brained right now.
There's a prediction I wanted to throw your way, but no, I released that day.
I want Silk Song so bad.
Oh.
I want Silk Song so bad, but I know it won't be shadow dropped.
Well, at least a trailer could be there. That's for
true.
Sure.
That is true.
But the one that I thought of on the drive in today was Super Giant's next game, which I know you have your Bloodborne and your Nier Automata 2s, but I think a Super Giant's next release would be huge and
that would shoot immediately to the top of my most wanted list.
Because indies are always a black hole at these shows because it's just they're harder to keep track of, but
Super Giant has solidified itself as an indie god. So
and this is the developer of Hades.
Bastion, Pyre, and...
great fucking developer.
Fuck, is there one more? Or it's just Hades then? Hades, Pyre, Bastion, and...
your
one
Transistor.
More. Transistor. Yep, there it is. Good call.
So yeah, I forgot about that one. I meant to write that down right when I got in today, and then I forgot. But
good call.
Super Giant is due to show their next game. So again,
all right. Well, so we'll get let down by another thing where nothing comes true and everything will be horrible.
We set our expectations.
Yes, nice and low, right, folks? Nice and low.
But as I said, Jeff Keighley is going to start teasing, so I'll probably throw that into the podcast every week is what he's teasing, so that our listeners know and that we can start getting hyped. Because I bet he's definitely going to have a Hoyoverse game there too. I forgot that's
the what?
The Hoyoverse, the Genshin Impact.
Oh yeah, MiHoYo.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on. The next topic, it's back.
It's back, folks. We're getting close. PlayStation Franchise Madness. PlayStation Pals Franchise Madness. So, Nick, if you remember, we are in the Elite 8. We got to finish up the Elite 8, and I don't know if you want to stop there. If you want to keep going, probably should just stop there and keep this week nice and short. But
sure.
So let's just get right into it. All right, folks. Well, let's start with this one. All right. So we have our favorite red-haired goddess, Aloy, of the Horizon franchise, facing off against Albert Pujols of MLB The Show. Baseball versus Horizon. Yeah. Yeah. Horizon Forbidden West. All right. Well, not Forbidden West, just Horizon. Okay, number 1 matchup versus a number 4 matchup. PS2 classic Jak and Daxter facing off against our web-slinging friend Peter Parker of Spider-Man. I know. Can there be an upset? Can a number 1 seed go down? No, it can't. He's shaking his head very...
Spider-Man's so good.
I know.
It's so good, and it's... If Spider-Man 2's at the Game Awards, I mean... Oh my God!
I mean, that's why I think Sony will have an early showcase next year. Is when I think a lot of that will happen. But all right, so that'll be a good matchup: Spider-Man versus Horizon in the Elite 8.
Oh boy!
And then we got number 3 versus number 2, Astrobot versus Gran Turismo. Very similar games.
What would
very similar games.
I'm gonna refer to what would you choose on this one?
What would I choose?
Because I just don't care about Gran Turismo.
So when we formed this tournament, I framed it as this is our list.
Yes,
it's not necessarily right. It's not what is the most important, what sells the most.
I know.
So Astrobot is very near and dear to me.
Okay.
I think Astrobot is fantastic.
Page. Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, so I would probably go Astrobot as important as Gran Turismo is. I think it's the number 1 seller on every one of their consoles.
Yeah.
But it's just Astrobot's pure fun. It's pure joy.
Okay.
It's the reason I play video games.
Okay. Well, that's the only reason I asked.
You want me to keep going?
Because you're the only one that would have something to say on that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's and I hope he's Sony's new mascot and just he stays around forever. He's a good one. All right, and then lastly here, folks, number 5, Sly Cooper.
Oh boy.
Can he be a better thief than Nathan Drake? Can he steal more treasure than Nathan Drake and Sully?
No.
No, yeah,
not
he
even
can't. That
close.
dumb raccoon. He's an idiot. All right, Uncharted. Moving on to no one's surprise. All right, so real quick, guys.
Boy, this.
It's getting hairy. I don't think there's been like one upset, but so it's kind of not. It's pretty expected. But God of War against Ratchet and Clank next week. Last of Us versus Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal is probably the lowest seed, I would think, going into this.
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted versus Astrobot.
Oh boy.
And Spider-Man versus Horizon.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, yep. So we're gonna have to kill some babies here, guys. All right.
And if you're listening in and you want to weigh in on any of these matchups as we do get to the really nitty gritty, please email in. If you think you can sway one way or the other for a particular franchise, let us know.
If you want to burn us to the ground because we killed Sly Cooper, if you want to, tell us that we're missing a certain franchise or whatever, yeah, bring it. We'll refute you. We'll tell you why you're wrong.
Sure. All right, is that it?
That's it.
All right. I'm sorry. I want to say sorry to our listeners.
Say a prayer, folks.
I'm sorry to John. I didn't want to do it. But as we're going to get into soon,
Don't say it.
I beat the main story of God of War Ragnarok. I am on platinum duty in that game, so I'm not done with it just yet.
You're not bringing it back.
I'm sorry.
You're not bringing it in
I'm
this room.
indecisive. I don't know what I got to play next, man.
Oh, no.
So we're going to bring it back. The wheel. The wheel, who has never done us wrong ever, as if you're a long-time listener. We got to bring it back.
This malicious entity.
Yeah, and I really filled it with some bangers here, so hang on.
No, I get to watch.
Oh, you want to watch?
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
watch the spin.
Okay, but
It's going to be Death Stranding, even though you probably didn't put it on it.
Yeah, how'd that get on here? All right, hang on, John. I don't want you to look.
What? Okay, fine.
All right, I'll turn it so you can see it spin. I'm not going to cheat you or anything.
All
right. So here are the candidates this time. The first one is going to be Chorus, which was just added to PlayStation Plus Extra. This is a third-person ship combat game. It looks dope.
Yeah.
It looks dope. John was watching a video the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that actually looks really good."
Yeah, I popped that in the other day, and it's got a lot of things going for it that I liked. I feel like it's one of those things where you kind of just got to push through maybe the first half an hour to kind of really get into the meat of it. But yeah, it was unique and cool, and okay, cool. It's a good pick.
All right, and these next three are going to get interesting here.
Okay.
The next one is Persona 5.
Oh God, that's what I want.
It's about time. It got its PS5 release. So I really don't have any excuse anymore. Yeah, this would be fun. Yeah. I think I'd like it.
I have a feeling that you will love it.
But it is a time sink, so we'll see how that goes. Because this is the Royal Edition. I get a whole nother semester. I don't even know what that means. So. Following it up is another one. We talked about it last week. Danganronpa. I still have not played the third one. Well, I started it and then I was like, I can't do 3 of these games in a row.
You own it? You got it?
Yeah, I do own it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Danganronpa 3, Killing Harmony. All of the Monokuma babies that we just mentioned at the start. Could be playing that.
Okay.
And the next one is Dragon Quest XI.
Holy shit.
Another big JRPG. As we said, I don't have to finish these. It's just what I might focus on for a little bit for the show and see if I like it. Mm-hmm. So Dragon Quest XI, which is also a PlayStation Plus Extra game that was just added in October.
I think you're going to hate the story on that. It's very, very cliche. At least the little bit I played of it, but still high quality stuff.
All right, so that's it for JRPGs. And then I wanted to add some indie games, so I got Inscription.
Nice.
This came out, I believe, in PlayStation in August or September. Mm-hmm. I think it was August.
Kind of August 30th, I think.
Yep. We talked about it in our August preview.
Yeah.
This game was, a big candidate for a bunch of categories in the Game Awards last year,
including Game of the Year, I think.
Yeah,
no?
Maybe it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But anyway,
I'm just saying things.
It's a card game that has kind of something. There's more to it than just the card game. So I definitely want to check that out.
I like those meta kind of things that really, fuck with you.
And then the next one is Kenna Bridge of Spirits, a game from 2021 that I keep forgetting came out. It was exclusive to Sony that year. I believe it still is.
Yeah. It's on Steam. My brother-in-law, for some reason, texted me about it today. He's like, should I play this? And I was like, well, sure. I mean, it's kind of basic, but yeah.
Sure. So I haven't checked that out, and I want to, see how good it is.
And I want to.
see what it's all about.
Yeah.
And then for the 7th pick, I'm going to make it spicy.
Ooh.
I'm going to let John pick what the 7th pick is.
Oh, do you have a list to choose from?
No, so you can pick whatever you want as long as it is out now. So you can't be like, I want the Callisto Protocol because
I'm almost
I want
mad
you to play
at you for not letting me prepare for this.
Yeah, I wanted to get your live reaction.
Sure. Okay, I've been harping on it for a while. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Okay, so John's pick is Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our candidates. We're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to see what happens.
Doki Literature Club. All right.
It's spinning.
It's Death Stranding.
It's spinning. Yeah, it's going to be Death Stranding.
Ooh, all right, that's a good one.
All right, so it is Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Damn it, I wanted Persona 5.
I'm going to check that out. I hope it's on sale in this big Black Friday
It
sale.
is. It's $20.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, half off.
Oh, this is great.
Half
This is
off.
great. So, yep. So expect some thoughts on that after I wrap up this Platinum for God.
Are you going to try and find a physical, or are you just going to buy digital?
I'll probably check it out. I mean, Black Friday's Friday. I'll probably look for a physical.
Keep that in mind. Even if you want me to throw you $10, if it's like 30, I'll throw you 10.
Oh, he's trying to get in on it.
And then I can borrow it, because I have so much time to play.
All right. So hopefully nothing bad happens to the developers of Kenna Bridge of Spirits, or myself, or John, or any of our listeners. I just, I'd feel bad if the wheel had to come up in. But all right, let's move on. The final topic. We keep bringing it up.
Yep, I'm still working my way through, folks. Nick says, I beat the game. It's so good. Can't wait for you to get through it. And meanwhile, I'm trying to fight to get, any bit of time playing as I can. But I did get a decent chunk playing through Ragnarok over the weekend. So obviously, as the last couple episodes, guys, if you do not want to hear anything past... I don't know. I'm like hour 12, but last we left off, I just got Freya as kind of my fighting partner.
Yep, you remove the curse.
Yep, remove the curse. Fought the guardian of the Yggdrasil and Nidhogg. And so I got Freya with me. And so right off the bat, I did not see it coming that I would have more companions than just Atreus in this game. And I think that was a very cool surprise, And not only, again, my whole thesis on this game is they don't cut corners. This team does not cut corners when it comes to anything. And so you start playing around with Freya thinking maybe she's just with you to be narrative. Nope, she's got a skill tree too. She's got a whole set of attacks and things that you can tweak and modify and change her armor, change her looks. And I just think that that's just such a cool way to really introduce or to allow a companion or another character to spend time with Kratos and flesh them out more, because obviously it doubles as a unique way to mess with your combat, but also allow you to get more in depth with these characters. And it's fantastic because, like Nick keeps harping, man, Danielle Bazzuti just kills it. And after having Freya with me, she definitely got robbed from the Game Awards for best performance.
I'm glad we're always on the same page with this.
Yeah, she's way better than anything I've seen from Atreus. When she joins your squad, you start going back to Freyr's camp, her brother, and you're going to kind of have this clashing between brother and sister, which you don't really know what to expect. If you've played the God of War series, you kind of just naturally expect bad shit to happen, right? Kratos kills everybody he comes across, and so I was kind of expecting to see some sort of conflict or whatever, and it was really a nice scene between brother and sister where they kind of show each other how much they truly care about one another. And and Freya's like, cool, you're back, you can join us and everything again, this is gonna be great. And Freya kind of has to have this moment where she's like, I would really love to, but I can't. And they kind of rectify the issues that they have. I just thought it was a really, really good scene.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave. I want to talk a little bit more about Freya as a companion, because she still is an Atreus equivalent as far as as far as the puzzles. She's just another bow. She uses a bow, so she can shoot the same arrows, the sigil arrow, the sonic arrows that Atreus can. But like, I don't know if you looked like deep into her moveset. It's pretty dope. Like,
Is it?
not only is like she can summon like vines from the ground. Like, you're fighting with a Valkyrie now. Like, she goes into Valkyrie form mid combat, and it's just cool. Like, you know, to have another badass character hanging with you. Not only for all the extra dialogue you get now between like, again, this great performer Daniel Basutti as Freya and Christopher Judge as Kratos, but just like from a combat perspective, she's just like all over the place. And then you also get, you know, magic with her as well as her summon. She doesn't turn into she doesn't summon animals like Atreus does, but she still holds her own. And yeah, it's what a great, again. What is the thing we keep bringing up? You know, disrupting our expectations.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man. I don't. It's Sony Santa Monica. They're just better than everybody else. I don't get it. So finished up with that part, and then we were able to go back to Sindri's. And this was a very big scene. This was kind of, I think, a turning point in the story where Atreus kind of lets it known to what he wants to do, right? He's heard arguing in his room with Sindri, and you're playing as Kratos, right? And you kind of walk up to the door, and Sindri just goes, "You got to set this boy straight." And I'm like, "Oh God, what's he want to do?" And you know, he's an angsty little teenage shithead, right? Who thinks he knows best, who thinks that he has the solution to this. And it's interesting because, you know, Atreus wants to go talk to Odin. He wants to go to Asgard because he thinks that he has some sort of way to change the fates of his dad, right? All he wants to do is protect his dad from dying that he's seen in this vision, right? And you know, Kratos doesn't give a fuck about fate, right? He's fought the fates before. He you know, he has a beautiful line. I think that was in the trailers, but also I came across in the game where it's like, "Death can have me when it earns me." Like, he doesn't care. All he cares about is protecting Atreus. So it's like they're butting heads with just like, "No, I want to protect you." And he's like, "No, I want to protect you." It's, "No, I want to protect you." You know, to this point where Kratos kind of gets the entire camp to turn on Atreus. And you know, these are all adults. Every single person there's an adult. And so Atreus probably feels a little bit like they just don't understand. They're just being adults and trying to protect me. I don't need to be protected.
Yeah, he's getting very emotional.
And he fucking bears out, dude.
Yep.
Like, he turns into his bear in this moment and runs away. And it's, you know,
knocking Sindri out of the way.
Yeah, knocking Sindri out. Sindri's like, "Oh, I got this. Calm down." No, that didn't work. And he runs out of Sindri's house and goes basically through a portal with Kratos shouting the game's very first "boy" after him, which I thought was, you know, a good callback that really shows that like Kratos isn't fucking around right now. Not that was ever in doubt in this whole scene, but you know, so I think that this was really a turning point in the game because obviously now you're playing as Atreus, you're in Asgard, and you're trying to go.
You're jumping a little bit ahead, because he goes to Midgard, and we get to see the turtle again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
From the 2018 game. I forget his name.
I don't remember his name either, but I was so sad initially, and then I was like, "No, he's dead!" And like, you know, and then he stands up and you light a fire in him, and he's warm again. Like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, so yeah, you go back to Midgard to Freya's place.
House, yeah.
And the turtle's so cold, you know, he's been sitting in Fimbulwinter, and Freya's been too busy hunting Kratos down to come back home and take care of him. And you know, Atreus has such a love for animals that you know, immediately he's concerned and wants to make him feel better. So he is able to get the turtle to stand back up so he can go in the house. Lights a nice little fire, and the turtle seems to be okay. But you know, still needs to make sure that Freya you know, comes back and takes care of him. And
it doesn't take long for a raven from Odin to make its way.
Yeah, and then he starts getting swirled in by ravens and, you know, and teleported basically to Asgard. So you kind of realize, oh shit, Odin can just travel wherever he fucking wants whenever he wants.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that leads you to Asgard, which, you know, is probably the most well-known outside of, like, you know, Midgard being Earth, right? But like
Valhalla.
you know, probably like the number one realm that we would be looking to go to in this game. So I was excited to get there, and you know, you kind of go across this little village and come across this boy. You know, initially I think Loki. I keep saying Loki instead of Atreus, which is interesting to me. I don't know why. You know, where he kind of assumes that everybody here is a god, and you kind of learn that no, there's just like this little village outside of the walls where, you know, everybody just really worships Odin and they just want to.
Well, they're Midgardians that have fled Fimbulwinter.
Okay, see, this is why Nick plays. Nick pays attention to things way more than I do. I'm just trying to play games so I can play games. And really, you should probably lead this conversation, but And that character was nice and fun, silly little dude. That
Yeah,
kinda
I forget his name.
He had a very Nordic name. It was like Svartir or something like that.
But he's very silly. He teases Atreus a lot because Odin lives. Asgard's behind this giant wall. Like the city itself is behind like a wall that reaches to the sky. And,
think Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The equivalent of Game of Thrones. And when Atreus is like, "Oh, I'm gonna just go climb that," and he's like, "What?" It's like, okay.
Yep, and then you get good a dialogue while he's like doing it in the early part. Like, I don't want to see you die. It's just good because again, this game is it's so serious, but it also just injects humor in really good, really fun ways, here and there. But the climbing section was pretty cool.
And I just want to mention again, like as we're going to get to more of it, like the game keeps bringing more and more people in at this point, which like I said, well, we saw the dwarves at the beginning of the game and Svartalheim, but it's just great that like the world like feels like people live there, like again and again and again. It's like, oh, finally we're meeting people that used to live, in that realm we spent the whole first game in, But keep going.
Yeah. So I'm able to start climbing the wall, which was cool and not like blew my mind or anything, but it did a really good job of kind of just a sense of scale, as God of War. The God of War franchise has always done very well, but to give you a sense of scale, as you're climbing up, you kind of look back and see the town you came from, like, oh, it's pretty far away, and you keep climbing, you're like, I'm not halfway up this fucker, and then you turn back, you're like, oh my God, I'm so high up, and so it kind of does, it's kind of just a very pretty moment, but you get to the top of this wall, and who greets you at the top of the wall, Nick?
Good old Heimdall.
Yeah, this guy's a dick.
I forget the voice actor's name. He's voiced by the guy that is Harry Osborn in Spider-Man 2018.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the same voice actor. He has glowing purple eyes. He's very swarmy, and I love a good villain. He fits that perfectly. He's holding onto Atreus' hand because as Atreus reaches the top of the wall, he grabs it, and of course he threatens to drop him several times during their brief dialogue.
Oh yeah, he has no idea who he is, right? He thinks he's just this Midgardian who just decided to climb the wall. So he's like, I'm just going to throw you off because, fuck you. But, Heimdall's got this crazy ability, right, to see people's intentions. And that's a very interesting dynamic for a character to have because it's not like fourth wall breaking, but it puts the opposition in such an interesting light because we know why Atreus is going there, right? He's basically going there to betray Odin, right? He has these intentions
to be a spy.
And to, kind of just get what he needs to save his dad. And so you start talking to Heimdall. He knows what you're up to, but you convince him to let you in because, the Allfather is expecting me. You don't want to piss the Allfather off, right? And Heimdall worships Odin. Like, Odin is the only thing that he cares about. Yeah. And so he lets you up, and you kind of start walking through it, kind of thinking, okay, I can be led to Odin. And Heimdall basically leads you to a combat arena. Yeah. And it's not so much a fight, but it's a cool moment because, you're trying to fight him. But again, he's the god of foresight. He knows what's going to happen, so you just can't hit him.
It's very reminiscent of the
Taskmaster.
in that game. But the Kratos Thor fight, where you have like this antagonizing force, just making fun of everything you as the player is doing, and obviously as Atreus because you're controlling him. But yeah, he has the ability to just predict everything you do, and it's just nonstop beating you, even like you using your ultimate.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, what this game. Well, I don't need to say what this game does well anymore. We all know what it does well. But it was really cool because, obviously you start just trying to hit him with your melee attacks. That doesn't work. You try and shoot him. It doesn't work. You're like, well, what can I do? So you're like, all right, well, let me do all my various hold R2, hold whatever. And then you're like, well, shit, okay, maybe my ultimate attack goes. And you do that, and he goes, that didn't even fucking work for you. You're screwed now. And, it's so clever the way that the game kind of talks to you and gets inside your head and, like, really kind of, like, says out loud what you're thinking, and it's just I love it when those moments happen. But kind of towards the end of this so-and-so fight, I believe Odin shows up. And basically says, what are you doing? Yeah, this is my guy. He's my guest. Don't leave him alone.
And he makes a comment, why is he all covered in mud?
Right. And really shows his comedic side in that moment. It's like I kind of got a little sense of the comedic side in the first interaction with him with Thor in their house, but but also was very foreboding. But this was. He's like wearing a silly hat and he's like saying hi to all the people in the town and he's, making jokes and he's very lighthearted and kind of, and warm towards Atreus, right? Again, Atreus pretty much tells him, like, I'm not here, like, I'm gonna, or Heimdall tells him, like, he's gonna betray you. He's like, yeah, so what? Of course he's gonna betray me. Why would he not betray me? Like, he's the son of the opposition. Like,
and I think what we were talking about last week between, like, meeting Tyr and the disappointment that Tyr is just Kratos again, and Atreus just not getting any validation from any adults in his life about what he thinks. And then, Odin kind of showing this olive branch and showing that, we're a lot alike. We're inquisitive and we want things and we want to change how our fates and all that stuff. Because, Odin has the same, has the Ragnarok fate, so it's like, while I think Atreus is sent there to be a spy, I think there's like kind of a mutual respect between them, even if I think Odin's still full of shit. Odin's like a master manipulator, but I still think Atreus like kind of latches onto him, and another character that we're gonna get to. But I think it's doing a good job of like showing the other side and making these gods a little more maybe you feel a little guilty about the war you've been waging up to this point.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because I wonder if there's a sense in this moment because I personally was getting a little bit frustrated with Atreus because, like, you've seen the fucking vision. Why are you going to talk to Odin? Like, just don't go see him. Then you don't fulfill that prophecy. But, like, in the eyes of a child, right, who's looking for validation, a child who wants to just be the hero that, be his dad. He has his dad in such high regard. He wants to do the right thing. It kind of makes a little more sense when you kind of look through it maybe in a child's eyes where they just have this, like, I can't be killed mentality, what's the worst thing that can happen mentality, and he really starts to come at odds with it, where to the point where later in the visit, you come across Heimdall again and he's kind of like, oh, here you are, you're ready to betray. That's interesting. And like he kind of, he has obviously this moment where he realizes that Atreus' heart towards Odin is changing. And it's just a really really interesting thing to kind of watch happen. But also in the visit, another big moment was this rift tear thing, right?
Well, we're getting a little ahead again.
Okay, all right. Bring me back.
Yeah, because I do want to mention Thrud.
Oh, Thrud.
Thor's
and Sif. Ooh.
Yeah, Thor. Yeah, Sif, who is Thor's wife. And Thrud, who is their daughter and brother of the two guys you killed in the first game.
Modi and somebody.
Yeah, who cares? They're so forgettable.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's kind of some tension there, but then again, there's also another potential love interest for Atreus, as Thrud is, his age. There's kind of that bonding of, very similar dads. Thor's not the best dad in the world, and neither is Kratos. And just again, like we talked a little last week about like how the mini bosses kind of made this feel more of an original trilogy game. The more and more of these gods that we saw, I was like, now this is really feeling like a trilogy game. Like there's more people, there's more stakes. The world is full of things, and like you don't want to hurt these people. And then let's get to Sif too. Sif is
Sif.
Sif. Yeah, Lady Sif. Sif.
Yeah. She's a babe, dude. She's got some curves.
Yeah.
She's got some curves.
She's got hair the length of the floor.
Yep.
And who's she played by?
Voiced by Elena from Uncharted, which is pretty cool. I heard the voice and I'm like, wait, I didn't immediately know who it was, but I was like, I've heard that voice. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool to see her, back and can't not hear that voice now.
Yeah. So okay, now we can get to before the rift. So you meet all these people. You want to meet Odin in his study. I believe this is when you're introduced to Ingrid.
No.
Not? You're not introduced
I don't
to Ingrid?
know. Who's Ingrid?
The sword.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm almost positive it was.
Yep.
You meet a talking sword. Well, it talks. Atreus can hear it. You as the player cannot. But it is a sword. It'll come up later when we talk about combat. But you now have Atreus now does have a sword that fights and moves on its own, and that's going to come up later. But now let's get to this rift.
So there's this rift in Odin's study, and it's like this ethereal, bright blue line just kind of existing in space. And inside it is basically what Odin's like. He says there's something super important inside it that he needs to be able to see.
Yeah.
And Atreus is going to be able to interpret this mask, right? That, you know, kind of gives him the clue that he needs to be able to get into it. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah, he kind of explains that. He tried to look through it before, and that's how he lost his eye. But what's in there, the assumption is like some kind of knowledge. Like some kind of knowledge that will get Odin out of his destiny, his fate of dying at Ragnarok. And to see into it, there is a mask that he has, but the mask is in pieces. Mm-hmm. He only has, I think, like the right eye or whatever of the mask. And so he wants to work with Atreus to get this mask together. And I'm assuming it's only because Atreus is a giant. Like that's why he.
Yeah, he's always had this crazy ability for language as well, right? Yeah. Like, and I'm sure there's other gods that do, but yeah, I think it has something to do with him being a giant and like activating the power inside the mask or what have you. But yeah, and it's in this moment that probably the biggest surprise of the game so far for me has happened, where I'm fighting alongside Thor. Thor shows up, right, and has this great moment where he kind of sneaks up behind Odin and is like, how are you so quiet? More
big guy Odin, or Thor.
More comedy, right? But all Thor ever he wants is the acceptance from Odin. He wants to,
It's his dad.
Yeah, it's his dad, of course.
A lot of father and son relationships.
So he wants to impress his dad and be viewed in his dad's eyes as worthy or what have you. Yeah. So Odin kind of sends Thor on this little mission with Atreus to kind of be his little bodyguard and
to get a piece of the mask.
To go get the other piece of the mask.
You go to Muspelheim.
Muspelheim, and you kind of stick your hand in some lava, which is is interesting.
Well, you get a lot of good interactions with Thor.
Yeah.
Thor just being a big brunt and like Atreus goading him on to like, oh, you're so strong. Well, have you done the trials? Me and my dad did it.
It's really fun.
yeah, exactly. And before he sticks his hand in lava, we get the scene where he finds the other giant painting, the thing that predicts the future. Yep. We meet at Angerboda again. She makes the comment about the snake that we put the soul in last week.
Keeps getting bigger, faster than normal bigger.
Just confirming it is the world snake. So that is how the world snake was made. John, since it's fresh in your mind, what do you see in that?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't, honestly.
You find another ball with a name on it. I know that because she grabs that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the prediction.
Sorry, guys. I know Nick's probably looking at me, really in disappointment right now.
I don't remember. It's fine. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it really changes much.
Right. It was not important enough to write it down in my notes.
No. But moving on. Yeah, they do find the mask piece. Atreus sticks his hand in lava, and Thor again helps him. Thor protects him.
Yeah. I'm really pulling for Angerboda to be his love interest over Thrud, though. Gotta say. Like, I get real Tom Holland Zendaya vibes from those two, and it just seems like is there a better match than crazy wolf hair Thrud. Her hair freaks me out. I don't know.
Yeah, it is intense. Yeah. It's a lot of hair. Is this where you left off?
But yeah, so you go through the paint. Oh, I can never think of the word for those things. What are they called?
The doors?
The doors. But what are they have a word for them. It's not, I don't know, whatever it is.
I know you need seeds to use them.
Yes. But you get out of that, and then basically Thor's kind of done with his his trials. He's like, oh, that was easy, whatever. And and then you kind of go back to Odin. You have another little dialogue with him, and you go back to your nice room that Odin's made for you. And it's like, oh, stay as long as you want. It's great. Everything's fine. And and it cuts to Atreus kind of looking at I think it's the knife that he got from his mom, from the first game. Mm-hmm. And there's this really nice transition of like he puts the knife on the table and then like somebody else picks up the knife and it goes back to Kratos. And so I'm back as Kratos, and that's right about where I left off. Okay. I'm kind of getting ready to figure out what the fuck's going on with Atreus and
it's good.
Become probably not get too mad at him. I'm sure Mimir's going to spout some knowledge at me to say, don't go crazy and Hulk out on him. But
okay.
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of got a lot of the meat of the story is coming out, and
there's a lot. There's a lot of chess pieces in play now.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. Did you have any more thoughts? I think you're kind of like at I would call like the halfway point of the main story at this point. So
yeah, I want to fight Thor again, and I want his hammer. That's what I want. But no, I mean, no more thoughts. It's still great. I got nothing but praise, and I want that day where I can spend 10 hours with him. That's all I want in the world. But if you live in America with all the craziness that comes with the holidays coming up, it's not looking great. So my goal is to beat it by the end of the year. That's my goal. And then hopefully I can get into Elden Ring. Well, I'll probably finish The Last of Us after that because I'm halfway through that. Then I'll probably get to Elden Ring, and then I'll probably get to Callisto Protocol behind on, and Dead Space I'll be behind on, then I'll be behind on Resident Evil 4 Remake, and then, it'll be, it's only going to get worse, but no, I love it.
Yeah, no, you're at a good pace, and it's nice that, I mean, we just talked about it for 25 minutes, and you did maybe...
like 5% of the story.
You haven't done... I mean, you hit some big story beats, but it's like there's so much more... to go. And
my main concern, Nick, is I don't know if I've ever talked about him on the show, but my good buddy Brian, best friend in the world. Sorry, Nick, I love you too. You're my best friend too. He recently got a PS5, and he's a Call of Duty dude, and he's trying to get me to play Warzone all the time, and Rocket League's already our thing that pulls me away from God of War, so I'm really hoping that I can still be focused on this. And Nick knows I can't say no to people, so
so John, there's this thing called sign in offline.
I do that a lot.
And you can just say I'm busy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I gotta say I'm busy because he doesn't look it for me online. Like, we're so close, he just texts me.
Right.
He sends me
that's what I'm saying.
He sends me a picture of a rocket ship, Nick, which means Rocket League, and then we go. So it's kind of like a binding contract at this point. But so hopefully by the end of the year, I would love to have the platinum by the end of the year, but I'm sure I'll have the main story beaten at the very, very least.
Yeah, because there's a lot more to talk about. I mean, we're chugging through the story, but boy, do I have a lot of comments on other things you haven't seen. Not even story related, just like the worlds and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you keep making vague comments about how the craziest areas are the side quests. So.
Yeah. And John knows that there is a Valkyrie equivalent.
Yeah, where the hell is that?
Yeah. Well, that's a part I want to get into.
Am I close to that?
Yeah, you're getting there. Yeah, okay. I think you're.
Does it come through in the main story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you will get this in the next world. So,
okay, cool.
So there's a lot of that I want to talk about. So but I'm not going to beat John up. He's making good progress. So
trying.
Yeah, he's trying. So all right. So I don't think we have much to tease for next week. God knows what we're going to talk about.
We might double down on PlayStation Piles Franchise Madness. We'll see. Or it's kind of getting close, Nick. Like where we can have expectations for next year. We can have maybe a little bit of discussion. Obviously, Game of the Year's coming up, but we could talk about our favorite games from the PS5 generation that we before we had the podcast and things like that. So might have a little bit more like kind of just not so much news, more regular conversation. But we'll figure out something. We haven't missed yet. We won't miss next.
We did pass the 2-year anniversary of PlayStation of the PS5, and we have launch day stories to talk about and
top 5 games on PS5 so far. I love my lists.
Yeah. All right, so the song we're leaving you on, we talked about Danganronpa. Unfortunately, the wheel did not choose it, but we're going to leave you on a Danganronpa song. This one's called Trigger Happy Havoc. At the beginning of all the Danganronpa games, they kind of have like a anime opening. And this song has played in every one, and it's so good.
This was your ringtone, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was my ringtone after I had beaten Danganronpa for a hot second. So
after I nervously recommended this game to a guy I kind of knew, like, you might like it. It's really weird, but and then he fucking loved it. It was a great moment.
Yeah. This is by Masafumi Takada.
Nice.
It's a great song. Again, the whole soundtrack to that game is great. But that's it. We're done.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Yep, and we'll be back next week with 6 more things. Bye.
Gobble, gobble.